Kyle Santa! Hello everyone and welcome to Kyle is Santa. So glad to have you. I know it says Kyle is famous, but John Szymanski has released that to his patrons and to me because he's Soup's cool. So we're gonna play Santa. Kyle's first decision of the morning was made wisely. Embrace the spirit of Christmas. I know nothing about that. As Kyle started to leave his bed, something stopped him. Maybe it was the smell in the air, maybe it was the chill from outside, or maybe it was just pure luck. Kyle had been imbued with the spirit of Christmas. In an instant, Kyle began to hear the dreams and wishes of every child in the world, all at once. Kyle's newfound abilities were quite overwhelming. He clutched his head and screamed loudly. The voices did not stop. Kyle curled into a small ball and rocked back and forth. Not to be left alone, Kyle was gifted with a Christmas miracle. Small bumps began to form under his skin, pushing outwards. Kyle's skin began to stretch and tear, letting loose in a small army of elves that had been growing in his stomach. The elves scattered around Kyle's apartment, foraging for anything remotely nutritious to feed on. Kyle had birthed an elf army. He had been chosen to become Santa Claus.
He is the one.
Kyle decided that the best course of action was to fulfill his duties as Santa Claus. Kyle stepped out of bed, stray elves falling from various holes in his skin. Kyle must now continue his day as Santa Claus. Oh no. What do we do? Let's open the closet. Kyle opened the closet. It was really dark and he could only see his hanging shirts. Kyle decided to take some time to choose the perfect outfit, knowing how important appearance is. Santa suit, naturally, because we are Santa. Kyle properly chose to dress as Santa, who he was.
I am Santa Claus!
Kyle quickly crouched down on the floor, realizing his immediate need for elves. Kyle winced as he realized he would probably need to bring some elves along. Kyle grabbed a nearby bag. He started to crawl around furiously, grabbing elves left and right. Kyle's bag was soon mostly full of elves. No matter, that's enough. Kyle used his elbow to forcefully compress the bag's contents so he could fit more elves. After several shoves, the content of the bag had been compressed severely. Kyle continued to gather elves. Soon Kyle's bag was a solid mass of elf flesh. Okay. And Christmas time. Kyle hurried to the set. Sitting across from him was a glamorous woman with an air of genuinity. As Kyle approached her, Rachel looked up and smiled. "Good evening, Kyle," she said, looking him in the eyes. Sorry, I read what we gonna say or do. "I've been looking forward to being here." "Dump elves on Rachel!" Before Rachel had completely finished her sentence, Kyle took his bag of elves and dumped them on her.
What's wrong with you?
The elves grabbed onto Rachel with a deathly unshakable grip. "Kyle, what on earth?" Rachel said. She bolted out of her chair and tried to bat the elves off her. "These, Rachel," said Kyle, "are your newest and bestest friends. You must take good care of them." The elves looked Rachel in the eyes and smiled endearingly. Unknown to anyone previously, Rachel had terrible allergic reactions to elf dander. Within moments, Rachel's whole body turned bright red and began to puff. The reaction was not like a normal reaction. The very foundational composition of Rachel's person began to change. Rachel started to sprout limbs from her legs and forehead. Her fingers grew extra eyes. Rachel continued to mutate. It became obvious to the onlookers what was happening. Rachel was transforming into the pure embodiment of all Christmas. Kyle realized that if he was going to keep his job at Santa, this would have to be nipped in the bud. Kyle started to pull the elves off Rachel. Instead of slowing the growing process, this seemed to give Rachel's body more space to develop new limbs and ears. After pulling a few more elves, Kyle threw his hands up in frustration and gave up. He walked out of the building. Rachel continued to grow, becoming a shapeless mass of teeth, shoulders, and fat. The elves were slowly enveloped. After the initial shock wore off, the surrounding community began to appreciate Rachel's new form. Over the years, she became an icon of local Christmas celebrations, acting as a centerpiece for decorations and celebrations. Rachel truly became the embodiment of Christmas. Kyle, still Santa, remained very jealous. Kyle started a tradition. I love it. I love it. Kyle knew he must construct his naughty and nice list. He began to think of all the people in his life. First, let's just say everyone's nice. How about that? Kyle thought of Gabby. Nice. Kyle thought of Rachel. Nice. Kyle thought of Techno Jim. Nice. Kyle thought of Kyle. Nice. Kyle ripped his list out of his notebook. Back to desk. Let's get dressed and go to the office. Interview. A moment after seating, the studio lights brightened and the cameras clicked on. Good evening, everyone, said Kyle, looking at the camera. Welcome back to Stay Up Late with Kyle. Explain that you are Santa. Kyle continued, I'm your host, Santa Claus, and I'm here to bring you Christmas cheer. Kyle put his notes down and looked at Rachel. Said Rachel, not understanding. It's not something to joke about, Rachel, said Kyle. I take being Santa very seriously. And I take you very seriously, Kyle, said Rachel, trying to play along. I'm not Kyle, said Kyle. I'm Santa Claus. I'm sorry, Santa, said Rachel. Do you happen to have your naughty and nice list with you? I want to know where I stand. Yeah, I do, said Kyle, pulling out his list. You're on the nice list. But thank you, Santa, said Rachel. What a nice surprise. Kyle was suspicious. Is it a surprise? He asked, raising his eyebrows. Oh, oh, of course it isn't. I'm nice. I'm on the nice list. Okay, so if that's the case, I want to try something, said Kyle. So if I put you on the naughty list, will you turn into a bad person? Like, can I control your morality? Before Rachel could answer, Kyle crossed her off the nice list and added her name to the naughty list. Immediately, something changed. Rachel jumped out of her seat in a blind rage and began thrashing the studio and laughing horribly. Kyle, suddenly curious, began adding other names of people he knew to the naughty list. Friends, family, and acquaintances of Kyle began bursting through the walls, ceilings, and floors, fire in their eyes. It did not take long for the studio to fall into complete ruins. Kyle was fascinated by the results of his actions. Kyle wrote a dissertation on the effects of Santa on adults and was published in many psychic journals. Psych journals? Psychic journals. I like that better. As research began to branch off of Kyle's findings, Kyle began to be known as much for his scientific findings as his talk show. Somehow, Kyle became extra famous. Kyle was extra famous. I like that. Santa Claus controls our morality. Who would have guessed? Don't make me put you on the naughty list. Let's do everyone's naughty now. Let's see what happens then. Create Santa's list. Kyle knew he must construct his naughty and nice list. He began to think of all the people in his life. Kyle thought of Gabby. Naughty! Gabby crashed through Kyle's floor and began punching him.
Why? Why? Why?
After a few minutes, she left through his bedroom door. Kyle thought of Rachel. Naughty. Kyle thought of Techno Jim. Naughty. Kyle thought of Kyle. Naughty. Kyle ripped his list out of his notebook. I like that naughty Gabby got you punched. That was good. I'm sorry, Santa, said Rachel. Do you happen to have your naughty and nice list with you? I want to know where I stand. Yeah, said Kyle, pulling his list. You don't rank well. Oh, said Rachel. Why is that, Kyle? 'Cause you suck. Kyle made no attempt to try to frame his comment as a joke. He stared at Rachel, expressionlessly. Well, Kyle, said Rachel, being that I am Santa Claus, I'm not sure if you have the authority to say that. Rachel pulled her own naughty and nice list out of her pocket. Kyle's blood ran cold. And you, Kyle, said Rachel, are getting awfully close to switching to the naughty list. She hovered a pen menacingly. No, Rachel, no, said Kyle. Don't do that. Rachel held her mouth open in a menacing smile and drew the pen slightly closer to her lips. Kyle dived across the stage, nabbing at Rachel's hands, trying to steal away either the list or her pen. A fistfight between the two ensued. Blows were given to the face of each with equal gusto. After several minutes of being slightly amused, the producer thought it may be better to end the broadcast. The lights shut off and the studio closed. Kyle and Rachel were still locked in combat, neither backing down. Who the true Santa between the two was never figured out. But indeed, that night the true Santa was involved in a fist fight and did not deliver any presents. It was the worst Christmas ever. Kyle got in a fist fight. Oh my goodness. Alright, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna first get dressed. Open closet. Choose an outfit. Santa suit. Kyle decided to take some time to choose the perfect outfit, knowing how important appearance is. Kyle chose to dress as Santa, who he was. Kyle returned to the center of the room. Kyle walked into the small hallway that connects the rooms of his apartment together. Checked locked door. Kyle walked over to the strange door in the hallway, but found quickly that the door was locked from the inside. Use Christmas magic. Kyle twiddled his fingers and sang a Christmas tune under his breath to open the door. The door swung open, letting Kyle through. Kyle found himself in the room. So, wow! Just check the sewing machine. No, all right. Back to hallway. Leave apartment. Kyle walked out into the middle of the road and took a long pondering look around him. Go on Santa duties. Kyle realized it was wise to conduct his duties as Santa. Give presents to children. Kyle could think of nothing better than to gather children around him and give them presents. Kyle supposed it was possible there were children in the nearby park, so he quickly walked over. This doesn't seem to be ending. This isn't going to end well. Upon arriving, Kyle saw several families walking happily around and playing in the snow. Kyle called for the families to gather around him. The children bounced over expectantly. Kyle presented the children with a gift. Wisdom. Children, it's time to listen to Santa, said Kyle. The children leaned in eagerly. I've lived a long and full life, said Kyle, and seen many things no man could imagine. From the many experiences I've had and people I've met, I feel qualified to give you this piece of wisdom. Kyle coughed into his hand and took a deep breath. Don't feed your girlfriend sea monkeys on the first date. There may not be a second. The children stared blankly at Kyle. Uncomfortably, the group shuffled their feet in silence. After a moment, one of the parents spoke out. Actually, yeah, I can back him up on this. Tried it with my first girl. She ended up gagging at the table. Nah, he's right. Us girls don't like that, said a mother. Remember when you tried that on me, Dale? Dale remembered grinning. Yeah, but she still stuck with me. Must have done something right. The group of parents laughed appreciatively and started swapping stories of their first dates. Kyle screamed and tore at his stomach. More elves were on their way out! In a sudden explosion, the group was covered in hungry, crawling elf flesh. What? In a sudden explosion, the group was covered in hungry, crawling elf flesh. The parents were whipped into a frenzy of pulling elves off themselves and their children. Kyle, uncomfortable with the situation, decided to leave. On his way home, Kyle greeted everyone he passed. Inside his door, he stopped and smiled. He knew he had done something wonderful for the children in this community. Merry Christmas! Oh no. Kyle gifted wisdom. Let's try gifting nothing. Kyle walked out into the middle of the road and took a long pondering look around him. Kyle realized it was wise to conduct his duties as Santa. Spread Christmas cheer. Kyle knew that one of his duties as Santa must be to spread Christmas cheer. Kyle skipped down the street merrily. As he met others walking along the sidewalk, he smiled. Surely they would feel Christmas cheer. After several streets, Kyle stopped skipping. Nobody had burst into Christmas song. Nobody had wished him a Merry Christmas. Nobody had even smiled. Kyle realized he would need to spread Christmas cheer more aggressively. Kyle walked up to a young couple chatting and laughing amongst themselves. He grabbed the woman by the shoulders and shook her lightly. "Listen to me," he screamed. "It's Christmas time!" The couple left quickly. Kyle, not dissuaded, ran into the street, stopping a car with his hands. "It's Christmas! Tell your family I love them!" Kyle shouted, banging his fist on the hood of the car. Kyle's methods still proved ineffective. He realized if he were to be a proper Santa, he must not hold back. Kyle started slamming his forehead into the hood of the car, repeatedly, flailing his arms in the air. "It is time for presents!" Kyle emphasized each word with the percussion from his face. Suddenly, Kyle was blessed with another Christmas miracle. Kyle's neck shot directly upwards, throwing his mouth towards the sky. Slowly, painfully, a live reindeer began to emerge from his throat. In fact, it was not one reindeer, it was several. Kyle began to run around, arms waving desperately, trying to find a way of dislodging the animals emerging from him. In a sudden, forceful moment, reindeer after reindeer explosively shot out of Kyle's mouth. The stream did not stop there. Every orifice, Kyle's face began shooting wrapped presents of all sizes in every direction. Kyle, unaware of what to do, spun in all directions and screamed. Like doves, the presents flew far into the air, landing into the laps of the children around the world. Within a period of minutes, Kyle managed to give the world his Santa-ly gifts. Eventually, the present spewing stopped. Kyle fell to the ground. He crawled his way back to the apartment and lay down. Kyle did not remember about his interview with Rachel. That's how Santa does it! That makes perfect sense! It's too good. Oh, it's too good. Well, everybody, this has been Kyle is Santa. Merry Christmas. If you want to see more Kyle is Famous or Kyle is Santa endings, hit that subscribe button. If you have enjoyed this along with me, because I enjoyed it, hit that like button. If you have any comments, suggestions, tips on how to get other endings, hit that comment button. And if you share this, any and all of that would make my heart go, Merry Christmas! And as always, have an amazing rest of your day. And here's your heart and your blink. Bye!
Anything remotely nutritious to feed on! Kyle started a tradition. I love it! I love it! Santa Claus controls our morality. Who would have guessed? Don't make me put you on the naughty list. Kyle's blood. More elves were on their way out! In a sudden explosion, the group was covered in hungry and crawling elf flesh. What? He knew he had done something wonderful.